Shifting focus now, Egypt has urged all of its nationals to leave Somalia's breakaway region of Somaliland, citing security concerns. In a statement issued by the Egyptian embassy to Somalia, Egyptians were urged to leave as soon as possible via Somaliland's airport in the capital of Hargeisa. Now, the embassy emphasized that the current security situation in the region restricts its ability to provide consular assistance to Egyptians. It also called for its nationals not to travel to Somaliland, given the impact of the unstable security situation on their safety. Now, this move by Egypt follows Somaliland's recent decision to shut the Egyptian Cultural Center in its capital. Somaliland also ordered the staff at the center to leave the region. The decision, it said, came in the wake of a security threat the government of Egypt posed to the territory. Last month, Egypt sent military aid to Somalia amidst tensions with Somaliland and Ethiopia over a port deal. Under the deal signed in January, landlocked Ethiopia would gain access to Somaliland's port. It would also lease a part of its coast to build a naval base. In exchange, it agreed to become the first nation to officially recognize Somaliland. Somaliland, which declared independence in 1991, is not recognized as a separate nation. It is self-governing, but the central government is unable to assert control over the region. But Somaliland has maintained unofficial diplomatic relations with various nations and hosts their representative offices in its capital. However, Somalia asserts its control over the territory. Its deal with Ethiopia triggered a strong reaction from Mogadishu, which expelled Ethiopian ambassador in response. Now, Egypt, which has its own conflict with Ethiopia, has backed Somalia's claim over Somaliland. Egypt and Ethiopia are at odds over a giant dam on the River Nile. Cairo has also offered to deploy its troops in Somalia to help fight Islamist insurgents. The current African Union mission, including Ethiopian troops in Somalia, is set to expire by the end of the year. Now, Mogadishu earlier said it will not allow Addis Ababa's participation in the renewed mission until its deal with Somaliland is cancelled. Meanwhile, efforts are also ongoing to mediate tensions between Ethiopia and Somalia. Turkey has hosted 2 rounds of indirect talks with the 2 neighbors and is planning to host one-on-one talks ahead of a 3rd round. Now, one of the proposals to end the conflict is that Ethiopia gain sea access through Somalia instead of Somaliland. Other Horn of African nations, like Djibouti, have also offered Ethiopia its port in order to diffuse tensions. However, these efforts put a roadblock on Somaliland's quest to gain independence. Now, over the past 3 decades, Somaliland has maintained stability for a strong case of independence. So much so that it is seen as an oasis of stability in the turbulent Horn of Africa region. The Somaliland government asserts that it meets most of the requirements of a sovereign democratic state, like free and fair elections, having its own currency and security forces, and issuing its own passports. However, so far, Somalia's diplomatic edge has overshadowed these efforts.